Alright, hello, and it's Bunquest from Everyone Bound. And since it's the week of Halloween, I decided I want to do a spooky Destiny commentary. Yes, I do know that it's Wednesday, which is 4 days away from Halloween, and this is basically the only Halloween-related video this week, unless you count Shattered Throne, but honestly, who cares? I wanted to talk about it, and as far as I know, I own at least 10% stake in this channel, and this commentary constitutes that percent, so my lawyer said I'm good to go. So I wanted to talk about 3 scary moments in Destiny, obviously subjective, and why I think they work so well. I'm a basic bitch though, so there will be a general theme to my personal favorite spooky moments, but I think one of them you'll have to agree with, at least. The first one I'm picking is so obvious that I genuinely spent like 45 minutes trying to find a different one that I like just as much so I didn't have to be that guy. But here it is. The introduction of Oryx and Regicide. So Joel and I have talked about how amazing the scene was in more than one video, and it's stuck in our heads since 2015 for obviously good reasons. Walking into a pitch black room with only a single light on the floor, then, when getting close to the light, having it fire off like a spark tail on dynamite, to open the door with the Taken King insignia on it, and finally seeing Oryx, arguably the first real bad guy we've ever faced in Destiny at that point, towering over us in a room where we can't even see in front of us. It's just a really chilling scene to think about, not only for the player, but for our in-game guardian as well. Like, Oryx wasn't just some bargain bin bad guy coming into the system because he thinks a traveler's a hunk. He wanted revenge against us. I also think the best thing about Oryx is that, at least personally, before Taken King, I wasn't very scared of him as a concept. I mean, his son had the easiest raid in Destiny 1 Year 1 hands down, so his father wouldn't be that much different, right? But then we see the power of his ghostly wail on the Awoken fleet, and we know he's serious. And to have the entire campaign just be an Oryx victory lap around our system, and then to have us face him in a room at first made entirely of darkness is just terrifying to think about. And then even before any fighting actually happens, having him suck the darkness out of the room is an intimidation strategy that works extremely well in my opinion. I guess you can consider the whole boss fight less spooky, but at least to me, intimidation is a big part of the fear factor of a creature. I mean, the xenomorph in Alien was 7 feet tall for a reason, right? That whole mission, and in my opinion, the whole Taken King campaign, was so good at making Oryx a real, scary threat, and Regicide just knocked it up to 11. And in a world so new, where just like 5 months ago we already killed a god, that was really, really needed in my opinion. My next spooky moment in Destiny is less overt than the last one. It's the ending of the Homecoming mission and the mission directly after it in Destiny 2 Vanilla. Now from an outside point of view, there's really nothing conventionally spooky about it. But it was the first time since the collapse, obviously, where we were brought to our knees with no hope to return. Again, I'm just talking about the first 2 missions. We're going to pretend like the entire rest of the Red War campaign didn't exist. Not only did we lose our light, but we lost a city, and for the first time in a long time, Guardians actually fully died. It's scary to me not only because of the missed opportunities we could have had with the Forsaken style Red War campaign / endgame, but also what Gaul said to us. We didn't deserve the power. We were weak, we cowered behind walls, and in my opinion the best quote of the entire sequel, we were welcomed to a world without light. This example is less about the situation happening to us and more about the implications of it. While Oryx was intimidating and arguably pretty scary, he never touched the tower or the last city. While he was extremely powerful in the ways of the darkness, he never weakened our light. I mean, in fact, he actually wanted to challenge us at full power, so we could beat him on his terms. But with Gaul, he gave us no room to breathe or fight back. He took our power, he took our city, and then basically left us to rot, killing any Guardians the Red Legion saw. And I think the whole Red War invasion goes hand in hand with another popular idea in other forms of entertainment. Something called invasion literature. More specifically, the subgenre to this, alien invasions. So before I continue, invasion literature is basically a genre of books that focuses on a great society, usually America or Britain, being invaded and destroyed by a more powerful force. For some reason this genre really blew up back in the day, and this eventually skewed off into alien invasions as more technology advanced and life on other planets became a hot topic. An example of these kind of books would be like War of the Worlds or something. But the Red War really hits on this genre of fear because every Guardian before Destiny 2 was announced truly thought we were invincible. At this point in our story, we killed 2 gods, we broke up a whole bunch of fallen houses, we killed the heart of a pocket dimension, the Black Garden, and took on an artificial intelligence that could delete us from time itself. And these are only the main story beats and raids, by the way. Don't even get me started on what other Guardians did before us. And to be honest, we had every right to think we were unstoppable, but when we fell, we had zero control on how to turn it around. We were crawling through a city we protected with nothing but a broken ghost. Even when we get out of the city, we still see examples of our failure. Sleeping bags filled with dead bodies, supplies that would never make it to the city, etc. The fear from these early missions was from a complete loss of control, and honestly I think that's one of the scariest things games could do. When I think of the scariest game in my head, it's not Resident Evil or the Dead Space series, it's Alien Isolation or Outlast, because all you can do in those games is run. The enemies are mostly unkillable, they're like stunnable, but that's about as far as it goes I'm pretty sure. So you just try your best to stay out of their way until you can get what you need and get out of there. It's terrifying because there's almost nothing you can do about the threat directly in front of you, or directly following you. I really wish they played more into this violent upheaval narrative with Gaul for at least more than 2 missions in the Red War campaign, but sadly they didn't, and I don't have a time machine. Yet. Finally, for my last spooky moment in Destiny, I want to talk about a fairly recent one, the triangle ship reveal in Destiny 2 Shadowkeep. This one doesn't have any deeper thoughts behind it, it's just the fact that I think it's neat. It finally gets us on the road to the current Darkness storyline, and it does it in a way that feels way more natural by having it not be in a cutscene, or at least not directly in a cutscene. That way you could react how you normally would in game. For example, for me, it was sprinting towards it as fast as possible to see if it was actually the real thing. It's also just a really good set piece. I mean, it feels like some cosmic entity stuff like Cthulhu. Stuff where the real threat is bigger than anything and we're all just imperceptible to the creature. I know that whole idea kind of gets destroyed when we go further into the campaign and the triangle ship directly calls out to us, but I'm just talking about the first encounter for now. It's also just a really good way to start off the Darkness arc for Destiny by having it be inside the house the whole time. It adds one of those scary moments to Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, where you think back to older events and start to wonder, like, what was that thing in the middle of the Anomaly Crucible map? Or why did the Hive decide our moon was the place it wanted to nest in? Or besides it being a portal to Crota's throne world, what else could lurk in the Hellmouth? These are just a few moments I wanted to spotlight that remind our Guardians that even though the tower feels safe and nice, there are still dangers out there on the frontier. Hopefully as the story gets darker with the introduction of Savathun and the continued fight against the darkness, we can get some more truly scary moments. I mean, Beyond Light is already shaping up to be much darker than I originally thought, just based on the Collector's Edition information and the lore drops Bungie's been doing. I know the whole point of the Destiny series is to have hope for the future, but sometimes you need to remind people why they need to have hope. Anyways, this is Mr. Pun Question, Heavy Unbound, signing out. I will see you guys next time.